Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys Week 12 quarterback start or sit decisions for fantasy football in 2020. Inside of this video, we are going to be going over every single matchup from all of the Thursday Thanksgiving games all the way until Monday Night Football and tell you whether you should start or sit the quarterbacks in each and every single matchup. Now, before I get into it, I'd like to ask if that at any point inside of this video, you end up having a great time, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. And real quick, before we get into it as well, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsors over at Drafters.com. Drafters.com offers a variety of fantasy football games on their website, as well as other sports if you guys play NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, PGA, all of that. But obviously, we're going to focus on fantasy football because this is a fantasy football YouTube channel. They offer a variety of Thanksgiving games. There's the Thanksgiving head-to-head where you go 1v1 versus another player on the website for a variety of entry fees. You could do a $1 game, or you can go as high as like $530. It's really, there's a huge variety of games, so you can do whatever you want with it. There's the Whale, which is a GPP where you enter with 4 other guys. You're going up against a big pool of, say, 120 players, of 24 players, based on how much you want to put into it. The $55 one, it's 24 entries into that one. If you want to do the Whale, which is just $5, there's 120 entries into that. And the Splash, the $1 entry, has 220 people entering into it. So make sure you guys check it out. It's very fun. You're just drafting up against these other players to see who does best on the weekend. You can win some big money on this website. If you use the promo code Notorious, it gives you a 50% deposit bonus up to $100 with a 10 times rollover on the bonus to withdrawal. So make sure you guys check it out. Drafters.com, code Notorious at checkout. And we are back. Let's get into it. Week 12 quarterback start or sit decisions. We begin with the Houston Texans at the Detroit Lions, the first Thanksgiving game. Now, Matthew Stafford last week did not play good at all. It was very clear that that injury was still a part of the problem for Matthew Stafford. He fumbled the ball early on in the game due to that finger being a bit messed up. Now, in this matchup, I would not be surprised if he bounced back at all, considering Matthew Stafford typically plays pretty solid on Thanksgiving. So I actually would not argue against you if you wanted to start Matthew Stafford this week, but I just feel like there's a hell of a ton more guys that I feel a lot more confident in their matchups, especially based upon injury with Matthew Stafford and my opinions on the other guys around him. Swift probably not going to be playing, and Kenny Golladay likely missing as well. For the Houston Texans, this is a no-brainer pick for Deshaun Watson. The Lions defense is simply not very good, and Deshaun Watson has been absolutely explosive this season, regardless of the talent at the wide receiver position. Even if Fuller and Cooks are not DeAndre Hopkins, it hasn't seemed to matter at all this season. And with the Lions defense not playing so hot, I love Watson in this matchup. Next game here, we got the Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys. What this matchup could have been Dwayne Haskins versus Dak Prescott. That's what we would have assumed this matchup would have been, right? At the beginning of the year. But this year has been such a whirlwind that we have Andy Dalton versus Alex fucking Smith on Thanksgiving. And I don't like either of these quarterbacks. I think this game is going to be very run heavy. And I think that the fact that some of the wide receivers I feel like will do good in this game doesn't mean that I feel like the quarterbacks are going to do very good. I just think they're going to catch the ball a decent amount of time and score some fantasy football points. But Alex Smith as well as Andy Dalton just don't feel like starts at all in this matchup. This is an NFC East rivalry matchup that I feel like is going to be relatively low scoring, but then you kind of talk yourself into it being high scoring. But when you think about how they're going to be scoring in this game, it's not going to be from the passing attack. It's going to be from the rushing attack for the Washington football team of Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. For the Cowboys, the rushing attack of Ezekiel Elliott. Next matchup here, we got the Ravens at the Steelers for the Thursday night football game on Thanksgiving. Now, Lamar Jackson has not been the Lamar Jackson of last year thus far this season. This is going to prove to be a very important game in the Ravens season. This game right here is going to tell the tale of if the Ravens were able to win the NFC North, potentially, right? You got to hope the Steelers lose a couple of games, but they could potentially win the NFC North, obviously. Or are they frauds? Did they get so hyped up coming into the season and then they started fucking sucking and they don't end up winning? Which one will it be? This game, in my opinion, solidifies them as a potential contender for the Super Bowl or as a team that may not even end up making the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has not looked good thus far this season. This is a tough matchup up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't expect him to have a stinky game. I expect him to be just about all right in this matchup. I don't expect a top 5 performance, but I'd be very hard-pressed to find him falling outside of the top 12 at the quarterback position this week up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben Roethlisberger, to me, is the same way. The Ravens' defense is no pushover, and Big Ben Roethlisberger, who has been throwing dimes like his name was Trace fucking McSorley as of recently, throwing a zillion touchdowns. I don't necessarily expect that in this matchup up against the Ravens, but I do think that Big Ben and Lamar Jackson get it done in this matchup and are worthy of starts this week. Now, onto the Sunday slate of games, and we got the Dolphins at the New York Football Jets. Now, it appears cool Joe fucking Flacco is going to be starting quarterback again for the New York Football Jets. The Jets almost probably could have won that game up against the Chargers last week had Cool Joe not have thrown an interception early in the game for a pick 6, or maybe it wasn't a pick 6, but it resulted in them scoring, so it just wasn't very good for the Jets. The Jets defense fucking sucks, but what is going to happen in this matchup, for me as a Dolphins fan, is concerning. They benched Tua last week for no reason. No reason, in my opinion. They should have kept him in. If he comes back and wins that game, the guy's confidence is on the moon. Now his confidence, in my opinion, is lessened by the fact that Brian Flores sat him down for no reason. Tua Tagovailoa, this is a juicy matchup for him up against the New York Football Jets, but I'm going to sit him down here just like what Brian Flores did at the end of that game. Fuck you, Brian Flores, but Tua Tagovailoa will be a sit for me this week. This is a big proven matchup up against the New York Football Jets, but it could get out of hand, and they may try to run the ball a lot later in the game with Salvon Ahmed, which would severely lower Tua Tagovailoa's upside in fantasy football. The Dolphins defense last week got pushed in. They got absolutely bullied like they were inside of a fucking middle school, and they got a swirly, which is one of those things that you see in those movies in middle schools where the bully puts the kid inside the toilet and then fucking flushes that shit and he gets waterboarded or however that fuck that works. I don't know. But with that said, I don't know if the Dolphins' defense is going to get fucked like that again. I really don't. I think Joe Flacco is going to be locked in a box like his name was Kodak Black. I expect Joe Flacco to not be all that good in this matchup. Next matchup here, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots did not look very good at all last week, if I'm being completely honest with you. That was a must-win game up against the Houston Texans if they even wanted to sniff the playoff picture this year, and now they're just going to fade away like Michael Jordan from fucking 3. So I think Cam Newton is going to be an all-right start, though, this week up against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals defense is not amazing, and the Patriots will be able to score on them, and this could be a nice back-and-forth affair between these two teams, so I like Newton in this matchup, not necessarily as like a top 5 option, but more of a top 12-ish option. Kyler Murray, love him this week, top 3 option, even potentially number 1 on the week. We saw what Deshaun Watson did to the Patriots last week. Do not be surprised if Kyler Murray hits him with a good old skull fucking on Sunday. Next matchup here, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings here, coming off of a bad game against the Cowboys. They were rolling one up like their name was fucking Snoop Dogg up against the Bears, and then they got their shit slammed by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they didn't actually lose by that much, but it seemed like a slamming because that should have been a cupcake matchup for the Minnesota Vikings to continue on this win streak that they were starting to accumulate. Now, I don't really love them in this matchup, if I'm being honest with you. I think this one's going to be relatively high scoring, but I think a lot of it's going to be at the hands of Dalvin Cook. So I'm going to sit down, Mr. You Like That, Kirk Cousins in this matchup. Teddy Two Gloves. Is he going to be all right to start in this game? Does he even end up playing? As of right now, it's at a true 50-50 in my opinion. It seemed he was going to suit up last week on Sunday, but then out of nowhere, like 90 minutes before the game when they have to declare if he's going to play or not, they said, you know what, PJ Walker, you get the nod. You can go ahead and play. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to, I guess, make sure that Teddy Bridgewater didn't get further hurt. This is a decent matchup for him, but coming into the game injured, I don't feel ultra confident in him. So I'm going to sit him down here up against the Minnesota Vikings. Next matchup here, we got the Browns at the Jaguars, and I know it says to start these two motherfuckers, but you're definitely going to be sitting them both. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Nick. This is a very good matchup for Baker the Faker Mayfield, and I believe that you are correct in that notion. But what I believe is going to happen in this game is a whole lot of running, a whole lot of 9-inch Nicholas Chubbs absolutely butt-fucking the Jaguars, while Kareem Hunt takes them from the front to form an Eiffel goddamn tower. I don't think this game is remotely close, and I think Baker Mayfield doesn't even have to do a thing except for catch the ball off the snap and hand it to the running backs. For Jake Luton, man, oh man, I don't even understand why he's still starting. It should be Gardner Minshew. Now, it's not even his fault if he's bad, obviously, right? Because he's on the fucking Jaguars. He really stands no chance. Coming into the... He was like a 6th-round draft pick in the NFL, so you don't really expect too much from him. He's not terrible. The Browns' defense is pretty good, though it seems like a couple of their key pieces are going to be missing in this game. Denzel Ward as well as Myles Garrett likely not going to be suiting up in this matchup. With that said, though, I am not going to trust the Luton one, Jake Luton. Next matchup here, we got a matchup from a couple of weeks ago, the Thursday Night Football matchup, now a Sunday matchup, Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Now, this game may be a war of attrition, meaning it is going to be a war fought between the trenches via Derrick Henry versus Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and Jordan Wilkins. Which one will it be for the Colts? I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor, but again, once you think it's someone in Indianapolis, it is the other fucking guy that you're not even thinking about. With that said, I don't like Phillip Rivers in this matchup because I feel like they're going to be running the ball a lot. Does that mean I hate Michael Pittman? No, because Michael Pittman could still have a good game and Phillip Rivers have a bad game. Same thing comes with Ryan Tannehill. I like A.J. Brown in this matchup, but I don't love Ryan Tannehill because I don't expect him to throw 2+ touchdowns in this matchup up against a tough Colts defense. I expect it to be kept close, and I expect a whole lot of Derrick Henry as well as the running for the Indianapolis Colts in this matchup. Next game here, we got the New York Football Giants at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Daniel Jones is a shot in the dark, and you're too late. He's more of a... not shot in the dark, a shot in the heart, because he's going to be a guy that gets talked up a lot this week as a guy you can play. And sure, I don't mind playing him, but man, oh man, Daniel Jones just makes so many fucking stupid mistakes that I don't even think it matters which defense he's playing against. He will somehow still fumble the ball in this game. He'll somehow still throw a pick, even though the Bengals defense, you can decipher so fucking easy. It's like a children's puzzle when it's just 4 puzzle pieces and it forms a fucking rectangle. Any dumbass can do it, but Daniel Jones can't crack the code, and he just drops it all the time. He just throws interceptions. It's unbelievable. As a Giants fan, I'm not a Giants fan, I'm a Dolphins fan, but if you're a Giants fan, you have to be pissed at it. The guy has a lot of potential. He just makes a whole lot of key mistakes in the game. With that said, Daniel Jones could be a start if you're risky enough, right? If you have the cojones to do it, do it. But in my opinion, I'm not trusting him up against the Bengals, and the Bengals obviously sadly lost Joe Burrow to a torn ACL. Hopefully he can return in 2021. There are people talking about, oh, Joe Burrow should sit out all of 2021 even if he's healthy. Shut the fuck up. Joe Burrow is going to play in 2021. In my opinion, I do not trust Ryan Finley, though, in this matchup. Next game, here we got the Chargers at the Buffalo Bills, and this one screams a gun show from the quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if each of these quarterbacks threw for 4 fucking touchdowns in this matchup. The Bills' pass defense has been all right, but they have been prone to getting into these shootouts with these offenses that are good, and this is what this game screams. I love Allen, and I love Justin Herbert in this matchup. Herbert put a torch on the Jets, which he should have, obviously. Anyone with 2 fucking eyes and a brain could have seen that coming, and I think we see it here again up against another AFC East team in the Buffalo Bills. For Josh Allen, the Chargers defense is bad news bears. We saw Joe Flacco even have moments of greatness in that matchup, so don't be surprised if Josh Allen shoves his cock 50 inches deep in that Chargers ass, and as long as the Chargers can kind of keep up with Justin Herbert, Allen will have to keep pouring the points on, dropping it in Salt Bay style. Next matchup here, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Atlanta Falcons, and this one also 2 magnifique, 2 beautiful matchups in a row. Raiders at Falcons. This one screams points, points, points. Screams points. It is yelling points at the top of its lungs. Matty Ice, Matty Ryan looked bad last week. If Julio Jones doesn't play, I might fade Matt Ryan this week, though, because this team looks completely different with Julio in the lineup and without. Calvin Ridley might be better than Julio Jones at this point. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. I think both of those wide receivers are immensely talented and one of the better groups in the NFL at the wide receiver position, at least duos. But with that said, This offense just looks putrid without Julio Jones. They couldn't get anything done in the game when Julio Jones was out. So I don't know how confident I feel. The Raiders' defense is prone to allowing these big games. Just look at last week. Chiefs against the Raiders. The Raiders fight back into it. They dig their way back through. They still end up losing, but Derek Carr plays well. So I like Derek Carr in this matchup up against a soft-serve Falcons defense. We saw Taysom Hill look like fucking Tom Brady against them. Even though Tom Brady, vintage Tom Brady, because Tom Brady now, shush, it's not looking too good. Matt Ryan, again, I'm going to play him. But temper your expectations, definitely, if Julio Jones does not end up suiting up next game. Here we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. And this one just screams to me trap game. I think the Rams may fall into a game here where this seems like a absolute ass whooping by the hands of Jared Goff. Jared Goff just went into Tampa Bay and slayed Tampa Bay Tom Brady decisively, easily. He cut him open like it was one of those people that stabbed Julius Caesar back in the Greek days. Jared Goff is in for a big matchup here, and I will start him. But understand there is the Jared Goff theorem that I have created. If you guys are new here, you may not know it, but if you've been here for a while, you know about the Jared Goff theorem. Jared Goff is either the combination of Rodgers, Mahomes, Tom Brady back in the day, right? Or he's the combination of Mark Sanchez, Mitch Trubisky. He has the clutchness of Kirk Cousins. But it's never in the middle, right? It's never Malcolm in the middle. It's never Jared in the middle where he plays just all right. He either plays balls to the fucking wall, skull fuck your defense, or he plays this offense is going to look like they haven't practiced in 4 months. That's how it works with Jared Goff. So I believe in him in this matchup, so I'll start him in this matchup. But again, there's always that kind of unknown with Jared Goff. When we're sitting down 9-inch Nick Mullins in this matchup because the Rams defense looks fierce. Next matchup here, we got the Saints at the Denver Broncos, and horsecock Drew Lock looked good up against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I believe he did not end up throwing a touchdown, but he still played quite well in real life. But now he's playing the Saints. The Saints are the real deal in this division. Even with Taysom Hill, they're the real deal. And the defense is very real, scarily real. And Drew Lock is going to realize that the second he enters the stadium. I hate Drew Lock this week, but I like Taysom Hill. The Broncos defense looked like champions last week up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins completely got in their own head, in my opinion. They were like, this matchup is so fucking easy, and they lost. That's what I worry about this week against the Jets as a Dolphins fan. But with that said, I think they're just not going to look that good this week. Taysom Hill is going to ball out. Now, I'm not saying he's going to throw or look as good as he looked last week, obviously, right? But I'm still thinking he's going to do just all right to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback this week. Next matchup here, we got the Chiefs at the Buccaneers. And Tom Brady is now 0-9 in his last 9 primetime games. No longer is it clutch. When it gets night, Tom Brady balls out. Tom Brady's gotten a little too old. It's fucking nap time. He goes to sleep at 7 o'clock or something. It seems like. This guy just doesn't play good in primetime. This isn't a primetime game, so I think Brady plays all right, but I don't expect something big. But when you see Tom Brady lose on primetime, typically he does very much better than he did the week before. Patrick Mahomes must start regardless. The Buccaneers defense looked all right in that game, but it's Patrick Mahomes. You have to start him. Next game here, we got the Sunday night football matchup between the Bears at the Packers. And in this one, I have no idea who's going to be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Will it be 9-inch Nicholas Foles? Will it be kissing the titties Mitchell Trubisky? But it do not matter. Turn to the sides. Pocket got fatter. She called me daddy. Nick Foles, sit. Mitch Trubisky, sit. Start Aaron Rodgers. It's a no-brainer. Rodgers is not a heater, and you don't get out of the kitchen. Maybe that's not what it is. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Aaron Rodgers is engulfed in flame like his name is fucking Satan. He is going to fire the cannon against the Chicago Bears. I love him in this matchup. And final game, we got Monday Night Football between the Seattle Seahawks and the Eagles. And I have Carson Wentz listed as a start, but I feel dirty playing him in my lineup. Absolutely dirty. Like I just ran around and slid around in the mud for 7 fucking hours like I was a pig. That's how dirty I feel starting Carson Wentz. So if you have him and you have another option, look elsewhere. But if you have to start him, the Seattle defense just sucks so much cock that it almost seems like you have to start him. Russell Wilson, no-brainer, must start every single week. Against the Eagles, it is an even higher slap of the face of the Eagles because he's going to ball the fuck out in this matchup. I love Russell Wilson. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button down below if you're new. If you're not new, make sure you guys check out, or make sure you guys hit the like button down below. Check out drafters.com, link down below in the description. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' day. I'll see you in a couple hours with another banger of a video. Have a great rest of your guys' day. As always, good boy.